Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, Cabinet goes virtual as several of those members remain in self-isolation. A father of 10 killed in a boating accident off Andros. Plus, a struggling grandmother gets much-needed help.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joachim. Topping news tonight, several cabinet ministers will not be in attendance during tomorrow's House meeting as they continue self-isolation after being exposed to COVID-19 during last week's cabinet meeting. Environment and Housing Minister Omar Ferrer tested positive, prompting all of those cabinet ministers to be tested. For some, this wasn't the first nor the second time.
It does make you aware that you have to be diligent about your personal safety.
For Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquist, this most recent COVID-19 test was his fourth. Thankfully, his results came back negative once again after he and several other cabinet ministers were exposed while at last week's cabinet meeting where Environment and Housing Minister Omar Ferrer was present. Cabinet revealed on Monday that the minister tested positive, prompted Tuesday's cabinet meeting to be 100% virtual.
There's nothing like being in person, as most people will tell you. But nonetheless, we've been able to have good active participation and engaged discussions on all of the issues that confront the government.
Immigration Minister Ellsworth Johnson also tested negative, but will miss Wednesday's House meeting as well as the required 14-day quarantine won't be up until the following week.
We have to lead by example. And so, in accordance with the medical professionals, I will not be there tomorrow.
He said Cabinet going digital is actually a good thing as there are less interruptions and it saves a ton of money.
So we get all of our documents for Cabinet online. You open them up. We're saving the country a ton, thousands of dollars because everybody doesn't have to lug papers with them. You just bring your laptop.
One cabinet minister who missed last week's meeting and wasn't exposed was Tourism Minister Dionysio de Aguilar. However, he was off the island and is serving as more of a guinea pig for the government's new travel protocol, where he has already taken 2 COVID tests and is prepping for another antigen test.
I had a rapid antigen test and another PCR test, and then on Friday I'll have another rapid antigen test and another PCR test. Obviously, visitors, when they come into the country or returning residents, won't have to have the PCR test in addition to the rapid antigen test, but we just want to see if both of the tests give the same results. So I'm doing both to make sure. So I will probably be the most tested cabinet minister.
As Parliament has already had several cases and now Cabinet, the Deputy Prime Minister says he's doing what he must to stay safe. But as for whether he's ready for a 5th test,
it is not the most comfortable experience, but nonetheless, it is not what people say it is either. It's not that uncomfortable.
Well, a father of 10 died tragically and 2 off-duty Royal Bahamas Defense Force Marines were injured last night during a boating accident off Mangrove Key, South Andros. Family members say the victim was a longtime fisherman who lived life to the fullest. Bertie McDermott has the story.
The Camps Bay community hit hard by tragedy Monday night as a boating accident claimed the life of 61-year-old Joseph Sands and left 2 off-duty Royal Bahamas Defense Force Marines injured. Joyce Conliffe described the father of 10 as a humorous, outgoing person who lived life to the fullest and was a joy to be around. Conliffe said her brother was traveling on business.
We lived in South Andros, and he went to North on business, and they live North Andros at 7:11 p.m. yesterday, and they encountered, I think, some bad weather, but they end up heading into a reef.
Police tell us the incident took place around 8 p.m. Monday. A civilian male and 2 off-duty Defense Force Marines were out to sea in Andros when their 16-foot boat hit a reef. Police say the men were ejected from the vessel. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force said the 2 off-duty Marines are currently hospitalized and the civilian died. The statement added, 1 Marine is alert and the other is unconscious. Conliffe said the loss of her brother will be a tough pill to swallow as they also lost their mother on Friday.
We lost our mother on Friday, and 2 days later we lost a loving brother But God has never left us. What is in God's plan will be done.
She added Sands was an avid boater who enjoyed the sea from age 3.
When he went out with my father and learned the skills of how to carry and how to maneuver a boat. So he's been in the boating business for most of his life.
Area MP Picewell Forbes also weighed in on the tragedy. While he agrees that this will be a major loss for the family, he says it will also be a significant loss for the community at large.
He was one of those community remaining in the community of South Andros and trying to build a local community. That's why it's so hard, because we don't have many young fellas, BJ, remaining on the family islands, as you know. And as soon as they graduate, they matriculate to the capital and they try to go elsewhere. And especially in these islands such as mine that are challenging to really survive in. So his loss is a major one for that community. He was a leader.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
High COVID-19 numbers may force the government to implement stricter measures like a lockdown, according to Bahamas Doctors Union President Dr. Melisande Bassett, who said, though unwanted, a lockdown may help. However, she added that lockdowns are not a long-term plan and more substantial solutions must be put in place. Here's Julian Gray.
Bahamas Doctors Union President Dr. Melisande Bassett said the government may have no other choice but to use a lockdown to curb the spread of COVID-19, as it seems Bahamians aren't following protocols.
We, as regular citizens, Joe and Mary on the street, we hold all of the power to say we don't need this lockdown. We're going to adhere to guidelines, scientific guidelines, as to how to reduce this spread and reduce our numbers and start to flatten the curve. That all depends on the average citizen. And if they're not willing to work along with us, we will continue to see spikes and continue to force the government to try and bring the numbers down by some means other than relying on the public to do it.
On Sunday, the Prime Minister gave a grim outlook, stating that healthcare facilities are at capacity and the Bahamas is now experiencing 1 death per day. At times, Dr. Minnis appeared to hint at possible restrictions. Following his national address, social media swirls with speculation on whether harsher measures could be introduced to curtail the spread of the virus on New Providence. Dr. Bassett said the Prime Minister is in a tough spot at the moment, adding those who are unemployed should be pushing safety measures.
If you have 40% of your population unemployed because the hotels have closed down, I think they should be the biggest proponents of you need to put a mask on. You need to wear your masks. And it's so sad because most of the patients that we're seeing, Jillian, are elderly people who we know don't go anywhere. They don't go outside, they don't travel, they don't do anything. But their relatives, their younger grandson, granddaughter, or child is coming back home with COVID. They get no symptoms, but these elderly people die alone in our units.
No lockdowns or tightening of measures has been announced thus far. However, Dr. Hubert Minnis is expected to address Parliament on Wednesday. The union president said criticism of harsh measures should not be coming from those who are not adhering to the guidelines.
If we practice social distancing, if we keep our masks on, if we wash our hands, if we ensure that we're not engaging with our friends without our masks, we're not spreading this to our families, this number will go down without the lockdown.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Well, days after Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis painted a grim picture of the COVID-19 crisis in New Providence, opposition leader Philip Davis says it's clear the country is losing the war against the potentially deadly virus. Davis also revealed that he has set up his own meeting with health officials to get a clearer picture of the crisis after declining to attend a joint meeting with the Prime Minister today. Here's Jasmine Brown.
Davis gave a scathing assessment of the Minnis administration's response to the second wave of COVID-19 as he insisted the country is quickly losing the battle.
We are losing the war on our fight against COVID-19.
The Bahamas has recorded more than 4,500 cases of COVID-19. Of them, nearly 2,000 are still active, and the latest health statistics indicate the country is averaging 1 death a day. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis said during a national address on Sunday that cases are still surging in New Providence. However, less than 2 weeks ago, Minnis claimed that the Bahamas appeared to be nearing the end of the second wave of COVID-19.
It is this doublespeak by the Prime Minister as the competent authority that has informed the lack of confidence that the public has in what is going on with this.
When asked if he met with the Prime Minister and health officials at Cabinet on Tuesday, as announced by the Prime Minister over the weekend, Davis said no and explained he has set up a meeting of his own.
I did not attend the meeting this morning with the Prime Minister, as we have arranged a separate briefing by PAHO and WHO, which we'll have on Monday next week.
Davis said he believes that whatever the government is doing is simply not enough, as cases are continuing to surge. However, he made it clear the PLP cannot support another lockdown.
We cannot support an initiative when we don't have all the data or information that informs that initiative. What I can say, as I stand here, previous lockdowns have proved useless.
The PLP leader called for free COVID-19 testing for all Bahamians, increased resources for medical facilities, a government quarantine facility, and expanded contact tracing. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, the opposition leader is also slamming what he calls the rush to create a permanent voter register. Davis says while the PLP would support the creation of a permanent register of voters, the party wants it done correctly. The PLP leader says that would mean not rushing the process.
The government's apparent rush to quickly create a permanent register without ensuring that it serves the purpose of advancing the ease and security of the voting process is firstly offensive to the legal construct and the Constitution of our country. It is clearly fraught with opportunities for serious mistakes, as the exercise lacks the requisite population census required every decade. The PLP warns that such a major undertaking ought to be approached with appropriate care and attention.
On Monday, National Security Minister Marvin Dame said he is unsure when a decision will be made regarding a permanent voter register, but noted it must be decided soon. The current register is set to expire in July of 2021.
Under the current conditions, the parliamentary registrar will have to use outdated information to carry out their constitutional duties. I've registered the PLP's concerns in writing to the Attorney General, the Minister of National Security, the Parliamentary Register, and the Law Commissioner, and the Prime Minister. Additionally, we have done so through our participation in virtual presentations with the government.
More news on the way, but here's a first look at weather with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Kyle. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather, being brought to you tonight by CG Atlantic, where people come first. Outside our studios, nice conditions, a little on the breezy side, mostly fair skies. The winds are out of the east-southeast at 12 knots. Feels like temperature around 84 degrees Fahrenheit. Satellite-wise, beautiful conditions around the islands today, and the evening is setting up for that as well. Strong east to southeasterly wind flow bringing a couple of isolated showers across the area. Most of those showers will be pulling west and away from the Bahamas overnight. That is your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, hundreds of businesses get approval for continuity loans. Plus, what the new normal looks like at Hugh Campbell Primary. Stay tuned.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
The Access Accelerator has approved 545 businesses for access to $55.8 million in funding allocated to the center by the government. Over 1,500 businesses have applied for business continuity loans, and Executive Director Davina Grant said over $30 million has been set aside for loans.
Just under $38 million in that program. And so going forward, the government has set aside an additional $15 million, as well as our economic recovery programs that DPM spoke of earlier. That's also another form of business continuity, but it has a specific sector focus in the areas that DPM mentioned, and that is about 25 million. So it's about 35 million that together in the different programs will be able to support business continuity.
Grant said the loans approved for small businesses during the pandemic helped to keep thousands of people employed. She added support from commercial banks has been unwavering, and other financial institutions will also be helping to fund small businesses.
The fact that there was interest shown to mature those relationships, even in the last couple of months, in the last couple of days, in the case of one of them as well, we expect that support to continue. And then we not only will we have greater support from a greater number of commercial banks, as all signs are showing, we also have lots of support from other financial institutions. And this is going to be a big part of the new model of the Access Accelerator.
On Monday, Our News reported on the arraignment of 36-year-old Trevon Stevens, seen here in the gray, who was accused of the murders of 30-year-old Alicia Sawyer and her daughter Ednique Wallace, as well as the rape of Alicia Sawyer. However, while reporting on the matter, we incorrectly showed you another man who was also charged with murder on Monday. That man is 33-year-old Damian Forbes, and he's accused of murder and armed robbery following a convenience store robbery that took place on September 17th. Forbes, seen wearing white in the footage, is accused of shooting Wade's son Augustin and stealing $50 from the convenience store he managed. He was not represented by an attorney at his arraignment and claimed he was beaten by police while in custody. He was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until December 3rd. Our News apologizes for erroneously showing Forbes while reporting on Stevens' arraignment. Now the news, hundreds of students at Hugh Campbell Primary School on Grand Bahama are back in the classroom. The school's administrators say they have found a way to make the space safe for every student, and we're just excited to welcome them back to school.
I love my school. I love my school. We love our school.
Wearing masks with backpacks and lunch bags in tow, 608 students were back in uniform and in the classroom at Hugh Campbell Primary School yesterday. From the tiny tots of preschool all the way up to those beginning their final year of primary school, there was no shortage of excitement as the kids got to see their friends once again.
We have a plan where we have 2 entrances. Our grade 1, 2, 5, and 6 students enter the front gate, while our preschool 3rd and 4th grade students, they enter the back.
Following the devastation caused by Hurricane Dorian, the school's acting principal, Rodney Bethel, said students returned to basically a new school with just about everything brand new.
During the summer, we received a new roof, tiling in all of our classrooms, paint job on the interior and exterior of our entire school.
There are hand sanitizing stations throughout the campus. Desks are a minimum of 3 feet apart, and grade levels are separated and monitored by a teacher or administrator all day.
Everybody here is like family. I was here from 1st grade. It was tough on my first day, but I managed to make it alive.
In the past, where we could have 25 to 28 students in the class, we now have a maximum of 20 students to ensure that there's social distancing.
Schools on Grand Bahama were allowed to reopen with face-to-face learning. In Kishi Edgecombe's 4th grade class, cursive handwriting is the lesson of the day.
It's very important that we are face-to-face with our cursive handwriting, with handwriting in general, because you need to work with the students one-on-one. As you can see, I would have gone from one desk to the other to make sure that each individual student is forming the letters correctly. He rushed down towards the village calling out, "Whoa, whoa!" and the villagers came out to meet him.
17 of her 21 students on the register were in class. Edgecombe says she understands why some parents may be a bit apprehensive about sending their kids to school, but says the environment is safe and they're working through the challenges. Still to come, Good Samaritans help out a grandmother of 3. Stay tuned.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All-day football, all-day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
You're watching Our News. Welcome back. Dozens of generous donors have offered to help a grandmother on Fowler Street who is raising her 3 grandchildren. Jared Hicks tells us the outpouring of support came after their story was featured in a Nassau Guardian editorial.
I know Grammys don't like to take care of grandchildren, but sometimes you have to put your pride aside and just do what you gotta do.
That's the position that 64-year-old Jewel Cartwright finds herself in. The Fowler Street resident is raising her 3 grandchildren after her daughter had a tough time finding work. The family lives in an old structure without a roof. A growling dog maintains order in the muddy yard. Their living conditions aren't the best, but Cartwright says she's instilling strict educational values.
Only thing I ask of them, give me a diploma.
But with school closed since March and opening virtually this week, keeping her grandkids engaged has been a challenge. The home doesn't have internet, so they use data on a cell phone when they can. Family and friends also ensure that her granddaughters, ages 12 and 13, stay up to date.
We have DVD. They would watch DVD, and then they have books they read. They read books, and they have the phone. But like other than that, they'll go to functions if the church have it or something like that. But since them and everything closed, they've been home.
The family's home was built in the 1940s. It's old and maintenance is a challenge. As a matter of fact, the home's interior hasn't changed much since Cartwright grew up in it. It has survived successive storms and falling trees. The home first belonged to Cartwright's mother, the late Persis Rogers. Rogers, a nurse, has an old-age home named after her today. Cartwright's story first appeared in the Nassau Guardian's National Review editorial. Since its publication, Cartwright says she's gotten a lot of support from the public. Her granddaughters attended orientation this morning and will have virtual and in-person classes at their junior high school. One of her granddaughters wants to be an architect and likes drawing anime, while the other is interested in pursuing zoology.
You have to install these things in them and keep them on the right track to get to these things. So I tell them, once y'all bring me a diploma and let me see y'all finish school, I'm very happy. That's the best I could do. And then they could go on.
Ultimately, she says she wants her grandchildren to be independent and successful adults. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks, Jared. Still to come, what's happening in sports, and a little later on, the Royal Fidelity Market Watch. Stay tuned.
This is a huge deal. NFL Sunday Ticket is back, only with Rev Trio. All day football, all day Sunday. Enjoy all the benefits of Trio with a huge extra. Never miss a game with NFL Sunday Ticket, included in your Rev Trio bundle. All you have to do is opt in. TV, phone, and internet starting at just $99. Call 601-8992 to sign up now. Visit www.rev.bs/promotions for details.
In sports, Monday Night Football doubleheader and the latest from the NBA and MLB playoffs. Marcellus Hall reports.
Well, our Bahamian Major League Baseball player Jazz Chisholm stepping onto the field, or at least on the bench today for the Florida Marlins as they begin the National League Divisional Series against the Atlanta Braves. We'll tell you how that turns out. Meanwhile, lots of football as Monday Night Football, a big doubleheader. Let's get you all caught up. A veritable feast for NFL fans last night as Monday Night Football featured a doubleheader. Patriots and Chiefs first up. This is a game that was actually pushed to Monday after the Pats quarterback Cam Newton tested positive for COVID-19. Another solid performance for defending champions. They got 2 touchdown passes from Patrick Mahomes and 3 defensive interceptions on the way to a 26-10 victory. Chiefs now 4-0 to start the season. Patriots, they fall to 2-2. In the other Monday night feature, the Green Bay Packers also remaining perfect. They dismantle the Atlanta Falcons 30-16 your final score. QB Aaron Rodgers continuing his stellar play. He threw for 327 yards and 4 touchdowns, 3 of those to tight end Robert Tonyan. Meanwhile, for the Falcons, their dismal season continues as they sit winless at 0-4. And don't forget, Game 4 of the NBA Finals comes your way this evening. After the Miami Heat pulled off an improbable Game 3 victory, can they tie the series up? That remains to be seen. We'll give you details on that as well coming up for you tomorrow. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marcellus Hall.
And that's a look at news. We throw it back to meteorologist Greg Thompson for the extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Kyle. In our second look at weather on our satellite, we are looking at a very strong hurricane, Hurricane Delta, out there in the Western Caribbean, moving towards the northwest. It should get into the Gulf of Mexico overnight. We could see some residual showers across the northwest Bahamas associated with the system. Your boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow. Winds are going to be out of the east to southeast, 15 to 20 knots. Gusty at times, seas running 4 to 7 feet. Your high tide will be just after 11 p.m. tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. Here's a look now at your extended forecast through Sunday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe and great night, everyone.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by Royal Fidelity, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. Remember, you can catch Our News on the Go Play app. Have a good Tuesday evening, Bahamas.